Так, вот я сейчас нажал стриминг. Я не знаю, он сразу будет лайв или нет. Вроде бы
О,
у
так,
тебя там есть
у меня пошло, я пока вижу черный экран, но написано live.
класс.
Так. Все, я теперь нас вижу. Супер.
Окей, ты можешь настроить категорию, название и там описание видео.
Но здесь же сразу категория people and blogs,
Класс.
title AI friends live stream и
Нормально.
zero zero views in и просто типа dash concurrent viewers, то есть типа, минус.
М.
Короче, ну все, мы типа, я так понимаю, live. Ам,
А почему у
знаешь,
меня не вылезло он тогда в этом? Как найти этот канал? Можешь мне скинуть ссылку на канал?
щас я копию видео URL.
Видео пока что ты не опубликовала, но приватное.
Окей.
Поэтому мы можем пока протестить. Я тебе могу
Да.
показать, что я могу делать.
Приседать начнем. Так. Так, я так понимаю, что ты
Вот
теперь
основная
вижу.
сцена, где мы двое. И я еще,
Так,
наверное, создам сцену, где только ты.
ага, ты в "Ютубе" сейчас.
За собой то. Так еще непонятно, что со звуком. Все, я понял. Окей. А,
Ну как, разобрался? Супер. Отлично.
О, сейчас в Ютубе должна быть видно документ. Google Doc.
Да, вижу.
А ты в Ютубе звук слышишь?
Сейчас попробую.
Сейчас в Ютубе должна быть видно документ.
Да, видимо,
Класс.
слышу.
Класс.
Так, ну что, мы, так сказать, готовы начинать?
Нужна какая-то картинка на заставку?
Да нет, наверное. Ну, я не знаю, что там можно поставить. Если можно что-то дебильное, то давай.
Есть идеи.
Слушай, ну вот у этого, знаешь, как он называется? All In Podcast, там, где эти вот
Да.
4 чувака известные. Там есть Фридберг, по-моему. Ну, короче, известный чувак. Он всегда приходит на все записи, у него всегда на фоне тупо рандомные картинки, типа абсолютно рандомные. Типа даже они могут быть там, понял, типа 360p, вот, то есть типа там коты какие-то, еще что-то. И это забавно, поэтому что угодно можно.
Окей, вот. Собака.
Так, я сейчас жду, проверю, что за собака. Она в Ютубе, да, появится?
Да.
Так, но она пока просто на весь экран. То есть она не на фоне нас, а просто.
Да, она просто на весь экран. А потом мы переключусь на нас. Можно на
Окей.
фоне сделать, говоришь, да?
Ну, типа, да, если
Интересно.
можно, типа, чтобы было между. Ну, или типа за нами, чтобы она была.
М. Да, это, конечно, прикол. Блин, а где здесь трансформ?
Так, ну она какая-то большая пока.
Shift to screen. Вот так. Ну, вообще можно любую другую картинку здесь. Какую-то, там, не знаю,
Так
с украинскими
непонятно, если
мемами
честно, что за
какими-то.
собака.
Да, непонятно. Ну ладно, давай первую тему. Какая первая тема у нас? С чего мы начинаем?
Ну, смотри, у меня есть... Мы, кстати, можем на английский перейти, просто чтобы начать, чтобы язык
Окей.
уже подготавливать. Окей?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So I have like 5 different topics here. So the first one is, just came to my mind just, right before this call. So remember I told you, this subject that triggers me all the time. Like, many VCs and investors try to, frame founders in a certain way where investors are dominant, right? And like founders are, they have to kind of fit into the
Yeah.
investors schedule, right? And Michael Sable just posted this tweet, um you know like taking meetings with no intention of investing is
Yeah.
wasting founders time, right? So I wanted to talk about this because this is, this subject kind of triggers myself. I also have like this AI generated clones by Hey Jan or Gene, I guess this Jan. Have you seen this?
А, Yes. No.
All right. So,
Tell me about it. AI generated clones. Okay.
well,
Okay.
yeah, just go ahead, like take a look. Um, well, it's very realistic. AI characters, right? So it like makes a video with voice of a person, like it's 100% copy of a real person. I also have like
Oh wow.
this. I also have this third topic, which is conferences. Is it worth it? So I mean, I just thinking like, well, maybe I have to travel to California once again to visit this conference because so many people is going to visit this. And then I caught myself like it's like, another time I'm thinking to visit the conference. And it's like obviously so many nice guests from all these big AI companies going to be there, but is it really worth it? I wanted to talk about it with you, right? Because you probably been to some conferences, and I've been to, and I sponsored some of them, so it's interesting. And also I have Yeah, so just real quick, I have three other topics here. So the first, Mid-Journey office hours updates. So they gave some updates. One of them was that they are not planning to release any API. And they had like a few other updates. And then I also wanted to talk about NVIDIA. They unveiled a new processor. I guess this is like a GPU, which is going to be like a few times more um, efficient and you know um, powerful than the previous one. And my question was like, what are like all these big startups who bought the NVIDIA H100? What are they gonna do? And the last one is I
Hmm.
think it's kind of interesting to talk, to discuss with you because I've just seen this article by Forbes Ukraine. So they were, discussing the AI landscape in Canada, right? And specifically in Toronto. So since you're in Canada, I really wanted to hear from you,
Yeah.
like what you think about the VC uh, climate and, just the perspectives of building something in Canada. So do you have any preferences, like where you want to start?
Uh,
Anything that triggers yourself from this list?
yeah, I like the first topic.
So the first one is the dominance of
The
investors.
venture capital, yeah.
Okay, let's go.
But also we can start with some news. Like maybe we can talk about Midjourney to just take it off.
All right, let's go. Right. So
Okay,
Midjourney.
so
Yeah.
I'm
Go ahead.
putting up the Pikachu, right? And we're ready to start, correct?
Yes, right. Okay, so I'm just checking what the YouTube stream looks like. So I see the browser picture behind the video, or is it like oh, it's not live here. Okay, so I see the Pikachu right now. Okay. All right. I guess so let's get started, right? All right. So do we need like an introduction, like a hello or something? Yeah. Okay, sounds good. Well, I guess so. We can keep him um behind our video. So yeah, let's do that way. All right. So let's get started. Um it's been a week since we did our last attempt to record a podcast, and unfortunately, I forgot to click the record button, and so we wasted. I think we have wasted like 2 hours of time. I mean, I think that was a good one because we discussed like 10 different topics, and but it is what it is. So you know, that situation kind of triggered myself. Like next time we have to do like a live stream because
Yeah.
in this way we will not forget to record the video, right? So this is a kind of safer way to do that. So all right, so let's start. We have like 5 different topics, right? I guess let's start from the Midjourney update, right? So have you seen this?
Actually, no. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so I as always, I didn't go as into detail, but what I've seen before is so the most important thing. So they held the office hours update, right?
I'm
So
gonna show the. I'm gonna show
yeah,
the.
so they held like an office hours event, right? And they had some interesting updates, right? And so the major update is they are launching a website soon, right? With a desktop and mobile versions. Um, I think it's going to be the like a major usability update because right now you have uh to use Discord, right, to generate any pictures. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a major blocker because like I'm personally not going to use Discord to generate pictures. Um, Another update is they are working on a video version, right? So that sounds cool. They have no specific timelines yet because I mean this is technologically sounds like a major breakthrough, right? Because I haven't seen any quality model that is capable of generating video. So that's why they have no specific timelines. Yeah, but probably the most disappointing update is that they have no they said that no API is coming anytime soon, right? Which is
Yeah.
I'm not sure why because it's like it looks like the major or the main thing that developers are waiting for.
Yeah.
So it's still like they want it to be like a manual tool, right? Like a rather than a B2B tool for developers that want to leverage this at scale. So yeah, so that's it for
You
now.
know what about wonder about is that whether like open source models are catching up, and it seems that Stable Diffusion XL is really catching up on Midjourney. So like no API seems like a pretty major blowback in general for popularity. I'm not sure what about business model, but in terms of popularity, having no API and no ability for developers to connect to it, it's probably setting them back a lot.
Yeah, yes, for sure. Um, I think like a very very big market is advertising and um, whatever related to ads, right? Because there are many platforms that help you generate like different pictures for your advertisements, and this is a big market. And I think they lose like a like a decent market share by not allowing B2B providers to use their platform. I think Dolly is they use it and they have I've seen many like website like no code website creation tools like um like Tilda, but the other platforms where you can just describe what you want and they create like a stock picture for you. So this could be a big market for Midjourney. They could generate revenue right away if they did it.
Are we live, by the way?
I think so. I think so. As I see that we are.
Do you have a public link?
Sorry?
Do you have a public link to it?
Um, I mean, I do, but
Does it work?
I'm not sure about. I think I sent you the link before.
Yeah, it's still private.
Not sure how I can make it.
Yeah, it's the same link.
Comments and ratings, customization.
There should be a big button that
Okay,
says
I
go
see
live.
this. I see this. Okay, I'll
Yeah.
make it public right now. Do you want it to
Okay.
be public?
Yeah. Hey.
Okay. Okay, all right.
I think we can run the intro again.
Sorry?
I think we can run intro again.
Intro?
Introduction, yeah, because we
But I
just
think
went live.
well, I mean, I
Just
don't
now.
think we're gonna have any like viewers joining us right away.
Well,
I
we might
mean-
have, because YouTube is actually quite good at giving like streams a
Okay,
chance.
okay.
Live streams a chance.
If by well, I mean we have like 0 concurrent viewers, so yeah, it's not like we're gonna have like many viewers joining that we have to greet, but anyway,
Was it
Yeah,
you
so-
who put a like button on
sorry?
the stream? Was it you who put a like button on the stream?
No, that was not me.
So
maybe
that
some-
somebody else did like it.
I guess so. So we have like one real follower,
We might
viewer,
have.
right?
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Good to know. Yeah.
Yeah. So
if
but
you're a
think
real
twice,
follower,
if you
just
make a real
write in the
mistake,
chat.
Sorry?
Yeah, I mean, for the viewer, if you're real, just send something to the chat.
Well,
Okay.
So Alex, whenever you say something bad about like politics or something, you gotta think twice because we can't really cut
Erase the
anything
history.
off, right? So
Yeah.
no jokes anymore about Zelensky here. I don't want to go to the war.
Yeah, not like last time.
Yeah. So all right. So we just talked about this Midjourney update, right? So
We can
I
recap.
think-
Let's see it again. I'm gonna show it. Right?
Okay.
So Midjourney did release office hours update. What was the most important? What did grab your eye, Max?
Yeah. So they are like launching a website soon, which is a major update because right now you gotta use Discord, and Discord is the only way to generate images. So now they are gonna release a website, probably a desktop version and a mobile version. Also, they've said that they are working on the video model, and they have no specific timelines, right? And that's kind of reasonable because video, nobody has ever made a quality video model. And finally, they have said that no API is coming soon, anytime soon, right? So, which is a very disappointing update because every developer, I guess, like everyone was waiting for this API, and sadly, they don't want to release it for some reason. So that's it for now, right? So we have like a few different topics, right? It's not news; it's like topics that I wanted to talk with you about. So, where you want to start? Do you have any topic?
Yeah,
that
let's go to the
triggers
Michael
you?
Seibel's tweet, probably.
Okay. yeah, so basically, you and I, we talked. Well, I mean, I've sent you a few, like a sequence of messages because that triggered myself. And yeah, I told you that many investors, when you talk to them, try to frame you in a certain way where like they are investors, they are kind of bosses, right?
Yeah.
They have a very limited time and you have to fit into their schedule and they have to ask you their questions. And I was in a situation that I didn't like. So when a fairly well-known fund in Silicon Valley, they have, a lot of followers on Twitter. They wanted to talk to us. And they had like 10-minute slots for startups, right? So they only like I assume they have like 20 calls every day, right? So like dozens of calls every day. So that's why they only have
Hmm.
like 10-minute slots. Okay, not a problem. So we had this call and like throughout throughout this 10-minute call, basically just like one partner of this fund just asked us different questions. And after 10 minutes, he just said, like, sorry guys, I gotta go. Like, I'll send you an email. That's it. And he just leaves. Right. And my reaction was like, I'm sorry, but like, I mean, I didn't tell him this, but like my internal response was like, I'm sorry, but like I could have more questions to you than you had for me. Right. And I think this is the problem which many startups face. Like so many startups, like I guess in order to be successful in in raising funds, you have to you know you need to have some dominance over investors, and not investors have dominance over you, right? So a lot of investors try to be dominant, right, and frame you in a certain borders. And I think you have to do the opposite. You have to say, like, sorry, I have the questions. I'm not sure if your fund is what we're looking for. I'm not sure if I want to take your money. Right. And I wish I said that, you know, right away,
There is
like in the
also
first
a
minute.
case of like an example of like YC where it's kind of like you doing the homework like before and you kind of just don't apply if you don't like them because pretty much
Yes.
you know everything about them there is online, so you don't need to ask questions if you're YC. That's true for some
Yeah,
funds as well,
but
but definitely
going back to YC, right? That's where we started. So Michael Sable, he said, who's the partner of Y Combinator, he has just tweeted this tweet.
yeah.
So he said, like, taking meetings with no intention of investing is wasting founders' time. Investors should be respectful of founders' time, especially when they are fundraising. So that means that if YC invites you to have an interview, that means that they are considering investing in your company. They don't want to do that just
Yeah,
to kind of, exchange with thoughts, just to stay connected, as many investors say. So, yeah, I think like my personal conclusion after having like, I would say like a couple dozens. Well, I wasn't really like, I've never did like big like fundraisers, right? I've never raised like tens of millions of dollars, but I had like some meetings with investors. And my personal conclusion is that you do not have to let your investors dominate over you and dictate the rules, right? You have to make it like,
I think the biggest problem is that investors actually have no leverage over startups because money is replaceable. Like you don't pretty much you don't care where do you get your money.
mhm,
At the same time, startups are highly irreplaceable. Like the best ones are gonna be billions, and the median ones is gonna be 0. So that puts investors in a tricky position where they have to be where they don't have any meaningful way to compete. But at the same time, right now, societally, because they have more money, they have more influence and more power. Like, even though this is a market of a startup, so they're just gonna use this to their advantage as much as they could. Otherwise, they are not surviving. So you're right. At the same time, that as a startup, you kind of gotta push back on that, and you gotta establish dominance. But I think the best ways to do is not playing their games, status games, but to prove that you are, as a product, as a business, that you're successful.
I think
And
I'm not exactly sure. So you're saying like you gotta have traction, right? Because I mean, it's right. Like if you have traction and you have like certain product success, right? That like it speaks for itself, right? You don't need to oversell or overpromise. But at the same time, I've seen investors giving money to like pre-seed, pre-product, pre-traction startups, giving like millions or even like tens of millions of dollars. And at the same time, and you know it, like once you have traction, once you have indicators and revenues and numbers, they start to measure your startup by these numbers. So it's kind of like until you have traction, they measure your startup or evaluate your startup by your ambitions and idea. Once you have numbers and traction, they start to measure your startup by these specific numbers, right? So that's why I've heard it many times that you gotta sell your idea rather than numbers, right? Because once you sell numbers, they start to measure you by
I
the
think that's
numbers.
actually a fun misconception that originated from this Silicon Valley TV show. But the way like Michael Seibel frames it is that actually being a second-time founder, he says, was much easier because you already know that all of these people. And actually, Silicon Valley is pretty small. Like, if you're there for 10 years, you know everyone. Like,
Uh-huh.
many people might have different opinions about you, but pretty much you know everyone. And raising as a second-time founder from Silicon Valley, he says, is much easier.
Uh-huh.
And or maybe that was Paul Graham. Yeah, I think that was Paul Graham. So the idea is, when you look at these crazy valuations, you're missing the point that it is not it's not a free market. Like, people who are raising these crazy valuations are usually have a very good, not like connection, but have a good relationship with the funds that are giving money to them. And that's obviously on a bad bet on the side of funds. Like, obviously there is no difference to how good this person would be. Like, there is some difference, but the personal connection to them shouldn't really matter in terms of a person being able to succeed with a business. But at the same time, like, it is easy to inflate the evaluation of a startup, but I would argue that it doesn't go the opposite way. Like, you can compare yourself to them and think that you're a failure because you can't raise 20 million. But at the same time, these are the outliers. And the median startup is struggling to raise any round. And if you're gonna evaluate yourself at the same time, like with actors, like best actors charge pretty much anything. Like, Christopher Nolan can negotiate royalties. He can negotiate getting paid on each ticket sold.
To simplify here, you're saying that if you are a well-known founder,
Yeah,
then like it. So so the theory that I was saying, like it's easier to sell the idea than numbers only if you are a well-known founder, right? But if you are not a
yeah,
well-known founder, then you need to have some traction because nobody's going to trust or believe in your idea, right? Which is
yeah.
like actually like 99% of founders, right? They cannot sell the idea, right? They need to have some traction to convince anyone.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you're not a well-known founder, you need everything.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
And
Yeah,
if you're
well,
a bit known, you
that
don't need
matters.
half of the.
Yeah, that I think it's right. I mean, so this idea I've listened to the last week's episode of All In podcast, and
Yeah.
they were discussing this idea. So they all agreed that once you have some traction and numbers, everyone tries to measure your startup by these numbers, and so sometimes it's much easier to sell the idea, right? And I talked to some guy in Los Angeles. So he basically started from scratch. So he was not a like a s- you know like a he didn't have any exits. He was not a founder before, so he started a trading app, like a brokerage, and he raised like $10 million. And he said to me like, "Don't sell traction, sell the idea." And I was like, "I'm sorry, I came from Ukraine. I'm not gonna sell, the idea. I'm not gonna raise $10 million." And she said, "Well, I mean, but if you once you have traction, you're like they will all just measure you by traction." So I had like these examples before. So I mean, I would probably agree with you that if you have just an idea, nobody's going to invest you unless you are well connected, well known founder.
I think you can do both. Like even without connections, I think if you grind through, probably when they say that you don't have enough traction, what they mean is that like there are some other reasons that maybe they don't even realize, because most of the decision making happens kind of intuitively, and even they can't really, the same way that like approaching girls, like they can't
Mhm.
tell you what's wrong with you, they just
Well,
can tell
I've
you
I've
whether
seen
they like it or not.
yeah. So I've seen like I think there is like a fund called HF0. It's kind of trendy on Twitter now. So, and they had this like question on Twitter,
Yeah.
like, what's the main
It's an
criteria?
incubator, right?
Yeah, it's an incubator. I think they give like up to like a $500,000 in the first round. So they've said that like the main criteria is traction, traction, traction. You gotta get it. You gotta figure out how to get it. And like I guess like that's really the most important thing. But at the same time, like we don't like. I mean, everyone knows that you know it's. I think the hardest thing is to get from 0 to 1. Getting from 1 to like a million or a billion is kind of. I think it's much easier, and this is what seed is for. I think pre-seed is when you don't have traction. You have an idea, you have an ambitious idea, right? And I think there is like this misconception in the industry where everyone got like a little bit of money. They have like 10, 20, $30 million, and they want to become like VC wannabes, right? And they start a new incubator, they start a new VC fund, and then they go to early stage founders and they say like, "Where's your traction?" I I really want to say to them like, "Listen, those founders who's got traction, are not going to talk to you." And that's why I mean I've heard many. Yeah, it's crazy. Like I talked to it's a fund with Russian um you know Russian roots, right? So they are in Silicon Valley, but they have like Russian founders. So they said that like it's so hard to invest, like it's so hard to get an allocation in a startup. Like there's so much money in the industry, so much people are willing to invest in these AI companies. And then I talk to them and they say like, "Yeah, but the only thing we invest only if you have like a lead investor." Well, I mean, if I had a lead investor, I wouldn't need you guys. If you have like Russian roots, why would I ever get like raise money from you? I would raise money elsewhere. So yeah, but this is a little bit like off topic here. So my main personal conclusion here is don't let investors dominate over you, and like it's probably like a little bit of like fake it till you make it, right? You just you have to frame the conversation in a way where like you got to make sure that this you want to ensure that this investor meets your expectations, right? You have to put it in the right way. Like you have to start the conversation from like questions
Yeah.
like, "Hey, but before we start, I want to ask you like how many startups did you invest last year?" Right? Because like we don't really want to talk to you if you invested in one startup. We don't want to invest your time and our time as well. And so I
In the
guess
sense
one
of that means they just are not actively investing right now, right?
yeah, they are just like wannabes and they just want to talk and like and they will see this like strengths in you that you are able to ask these questions. You're not just, scared of asking questions, and that means that you have some confidence, right? When they see the confidence, that most likely indicates that you have money, you have commitments, you have investors, you have interest, and you need to show you need to demonstrate the confidence. I think that's my personal conclusion. And when
I
they
think
see
the trick here is kind of navigate the balance between being bold and being out of touch with reality. Because, like,
yeah, I
if
think that
you're,
that's right. Yeah.
yeah,
You need to be somewhere in the middle, right? You like
yeah,
you need to show that yeah, we have like decent interest. We have like in our like pipeline, we have some investors, we have some commitments. I can talk like in detail, but we are like good. And I think once they see the confidence in you, right? I think they can kind of smell it, right? And when they see this when they smell this confidence and see that you are not like yeah, well, yeah, when they see the
have you seen
confidence,
V Crashed TV series on Apple TV
yeah,
with
yeah, yeah,
Adam
yeah. I've seen
Newman
that. Yeah, I saw that. It's yeah. I
about
think it's a good
Adam Newman?
example. When you're confident, they
Yeah,
start to they start to have this fear of like of missing out, right? And
yeah.
like it might be like that. You don't need their money. If you don't need their money, then you are confident that you can raise money. Then they will most likely want to invest in your company. So that's my personal conclusion. How
I've
did it
been
work for you? Like I know you raised some money, you talked to some f- funds and investors and incubators. How did it go for you?
mm, so as I say, right now my mental model is that they don't they don't really even, maybe they know, but they don't tell directly why they are rejecting you. And the way to, if you need to raise money, the way to do it is just repeatedly, repeat the process many times, like
You mean
just
like you need to have
cont-
like
just brute
many
force.
yeah, so many emails, many cold emails, many messages, many
Yeah,
requests.
you need to do 100 VC calls
Hmm.
to raise,
Well, for
and
me,
by the middle,
yeah,
yeah,
you
by the
go ahead.
middle you just already, like, you will know what to say, what to do
Hmm.
much better than with any amount of theory that you can do. uh,
Hmm.
Reading Cold Start Problem by Andrew Chen, I kind of realized also that in a way, startups are not about IT, they are about networks and mods. So IT just turns out to be one of the best ways to build networks on scale, because you
Hmm.
can acquire people and you get network effects that positively reinforce the process, and you can
Hmm.
really get like chat gpt to 100 million people over a course of month, or
Hmm.
how much it was, 2 months, because the
Interesting.
way, and a lot of value is in these networks. Like Facebook is so expensive, not because of the code they've written, not even because of the product, even though there are some valuable products in their ecosystem, but because of the network they have.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Well, so you said
And
like you need, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, and kind of what investors are looking is whether you're a person who can like recruit people into their vision, including customers, future customers, partners, B2B partners, and stuff like that, and really build this kingdom almost.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, so you got to be able to recruit at least the investor. And that's probably what they mean by saying selling the idea. But the idea is not
Uh-huh.
important because like investors still see through your bullshit. So like if you don't have traction but you're trying to sell an idea, they will connect the dots. Like they will see that even though the words you say are beautiful, why don't you have traction then?
Yeah, I gotta say here. So I gotta interrupt you. So you said that they kind of smell the bullshit. Just so you know, like many VCs use, like many VCs are essentially VC wannabes, right? They got some money. Did you know that most of the venture capital firms in the US, I think in 2022 they performed, I think their like average performance was lower than the like like the S&P 500 or like the top, I don't know, 20 or top 20 or top 50 blue chips, like they are not as good, right? And so I would say that most of these VCs have like um just yesterday's graduates from like nice universities, but they have no real,
Yeah.
experience in investing and in startups, and they have no skin in the game, and they have never run a
But it's
company
good.
before.
Kind of ecosystem still needs them. Otherwise, like startups would get much less funds, right?
Yeah, I mean, so what I'm saying is like just as many startup founders just want to play the startup games just for like they just enjoy, having like this, founder status, and they just want to play this status game. The same way VCs want to play this, they want to they want to be just VCs, right? It's they are just cosplaying VCs essentially. So, and yeah, and that's why like bullshit might work in many cases from both sides actually, right? You might think that this VC is serious, is it's good, you want to take his money, and it turns out that this VC just has money but has no connections or no network. And in the same way, it might turn out that the founder is just like good salesperson or but not a good operator.
Yeah.
All right. So
It's an interesting insight. So that actually VCs on their end struggle as well, right? So you're saying that they have their own status games and they want to impress their peers by investing in cool startups. So even if
yes.
you look cool, but you kind of they know in the back of their head that you're not gonna make it. But if you look cool, it's still cool to invest in you because
Yeah,
also
yeah.
usually it's not even their money they playing with.
Yes, for sure. For sure. So they want to be like the first ones to invest in the future. I'm not even talking like OpenAI, but like Jasper, right? No matter like what numbers you have, you just want to be something that might be cool tomorrow. Um, so by the
On
way,
that note, yeah, yeah.
sorry.
On that note, coming back to AI, right?
Yeah. So I just, you've mentioned that your network is kind of like is what helps you build a startup, right? Because you need to gather like employees and partners. I don't know if you want to talk about it, but I was really curious about conferences. Um, so I mean, I was like, I think I saw this advertisements somewhere promoting this conference. So this is, I think like it's going to be like a relatively big event in in San Francisco this September. This is an AI event, the AI conference. So they have like nice speakers like director of research from Google, VP of research from NVIDIA, co-founder of Anthropic, which is like a big company, guys from Meta, from LangChain, Microsoft, and like Mosaic ML, and all these like big companies, Hugging Face, Replit, um, Llama Index, which is big company now. Well, I mean, not a big project, not a company. So, and I was like, oh wow, like so many people are gonna be there. It's like, I guess every person who's working on something big and in AI is gonna visit this event. So maybe I have to come there and network and meet new people and kind of generate. Maybe I'll get to know more people and I get some insights and maybe I'll come up with new ideas. And then I caught myself. I realized that I've made this mistake so many times before. And I used to sponsor events, right? We did it with like probably like 5 or 6 times before. And I've been as a guest to many events. And so far, like sponsoring these events was a total waste of time in like 9 out of 10 cases. And visiting events was probably like a waste of time in like, I would say like 7 out of 10 cases, right? And many guys from, I think even Y Combinator says like avoid uh, exhibitions and events unless that's like the best way to sell your product. So what do you think about like this events? Because I mean, because just so you know, like the other thing here is it consumes a lot of money, right? You have to travel, you have to buy tickets, you have to like buy accommodation, hotels, transportation. It might cost you like as much as like $10,000 for like two people, right? So
Yeah.
and on top of that, you may pay for tickets, which sometimes cost like a couple $1,000. And for this particular event, it's like how much is that? Let me
The
take a look.
tickets
Oh, so
are
it starts from 400 and goes all the way up to fifteen hundred
1,500.
dollars.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. So have you ever like have you ever had any experience visiting events, and what's your take on events?
I think with prices, the idea is that usually company pays for that. So that's why they are so expensive. Because, but also if you think about
I
it,
have a
you still,
counter. Yeah,
yeah,
sorry. I have a counter example on that. Like we've spent like $100,000 to sponsor the biggest NFT event in the world in New York. So
yeah.
yeah, you go ahead, but I will kind of tell you more details about this.
If you think about it, like if you gotta fly there anyway, and the tickets to fly cost like 300 to 500, usually around the world, it's kind of like you kind of spending $1,000 anyway together with accommodations. So like just a few hundred on top of that is not a big deal.
Mhm.
So pro case for events is that the you can meet a lot of people from the industry in a short amount of time. But actually, like on that point, usually they say that conferences itself are a waste of time, and the after party after the conference is where the networking happens. So
Mhm.
you you want to go to a conference, but you want to skip all of the official first line events and just go to second line,
Mhm.
like off parties that are gathered
Interesting.
by kind of like interest, because this is where you can meet all of these people in more relaxed setting, something like
Yeah.
that.
You
Uh,
said that it's like a couple $100, but if you travel like i- internationally, it might cost you like like $1,500. Well, if you have like a round trip, it might cost you like $2,000 per person in economy.
yeah,
Plus, you have to spend like since it's San Francisco, that's going to be like $300 per night. for a hotel, or at least like $200 to be fair, because they have like a tax and something else, so
Yeah.
that's like $200, and then you have transportation, you have all these different costs. So it puts you like might cost you like $4,000, including the ticket, to just visit this event for like a
What I'm saying
few
is
days.
that if the ticket price was like even 10 times less than that, you're still gonna spend 3,500
Yes.
to get there. So kind of they don't have any reason to charge less.
Yeah, but the question is it really worth it? Because like I've seen some, I think even like YC partners say like, go build your product. You don't need to network. You don't need to like talk to other
Yeah.
people. Just go build your product, and like it would be better to invest like $3,000 or $4,000 in, you know, I guess promotion, or your advertisements, than into just networking. But at the same time, in the latest YC video, they discussed whether it's worth it to live in San Francisco or in the Bay Area. And it seemed like they were on the same page that it's kind of helpful to live there because you have so many talents living in the same area, right? And it's just like much easier to come up with the right ideas, right? And have like the right thoughts around you if you live in that area. So, and I'm not sure, like, did you have any like good experience so far networking at events? Like, did you get any deals or any things done afterwards?
Actually, yeah, coming to, but the thing is, the problem is if you make an event open, that means it's gonna be, even though it's funny, they here on the bottom of the page on this website they say high signal to noise ratio. The problem is if the event is open, it's gonna be low signal to noise ratio because everyone wants to network with these people. Everyone wants in, and
Mhm,
if you filter by money, it doesn't help because like people who you want to meet on this kind of events are developers and they're at home coding. So it's kind of a double bind. Like you want developers to come, but cool developers to talk to each other. But at the same time, when cool developers come, a lot of people who are just who want to network or who have a startup idea gonna come as well.
mhm,
So the way to filter that, for example, would be a hackathon where you only invite people who gonna code, and that actually works quite well. Like
mhm,
you, I've been on a hackathon in Waterloo, and there's been like 200 people, and there have been Vitalik Buterin, and just because there were only programmers and nerds, he had a lot of time to talk to just to
mhm.
people. At the same time, if you'd saw Vitalik Buterin at a conference, like I don't know, say like some
Bitcoin
global,
conference, yeah.
yeah, Bitcoin conference, like if he'd come there, you wouldn't get any chance to talk to him like at all,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
he wouldn't
that's
be
right.
even interested to talk to a crowd because like
Yeah.
this is kind of
It's like like, since you are like a developer, or like a little bit of developer yourself, right? And like I guess you are an entrepreneur now, and then you are a developer, right? So I'm not really like a developer myself anymore, right? So I I noticed that, and I mean I've been to, like, last year I went to like 5 or 6 events in Los Angeles, and that was tough. So the first thing is, like, if you were in the US, they have like a little bars, little restaurants packed with like 300 people. It's like a networking event, right? Imagine like a little area packed with like 300 people. It's literally hard to get like it's hard to move like 10 meters from one side of the place to another. You can't really hear yourself. You have to shout all the time. And I guess Americans are kind of got used to that, but I couldn't. But anyway, I forced myself, right? I realized, okay, I paid money to get here. I've spent my time. I, I must get some results out of this. And what I noticed is that there's like founders who want to find investors, and there are investors who want to find other investors, and people who will, I don't know, like, it didn't seem like investors wanted to invest into anyone. And it seemed like and finally, it seemed like investors wanted to kinda party with other investors, and founders had now no other choice other than just hang out with other founders. I mean, for example, I met a nice lawyer who was a lawyer for FTX. Um, so I met some like nice guys who were in advertising and other niches, but for the most part, most of these people try to sell something, right? Like sell,
Hmm.
you know, uh, accounting services, sell advertising services, sell web development services, like, whatever, like attorney services. Investors came just to kind of hang out with other investors, and founders were just very unfortunate because they were kind of going from one person to another. And I heard like these miserable conversations like, hey, are you like an investor or are you a founder? Yeah, I'm a founder. Oh, okay, I'm a founder too. And then they like exchange with ideas, and that's it. Then they just,
Yeah.
you know, went to
It's
have
like,
another conversation.
imagine there's been an event held that is marketed for women who can't find a rich husband.
Well, I
And
mean,
you
if
have
if
this,
there was a criteria like women gotta be beautiful and husband gotta be rich, I'm sure that rich people would come to see beautiful women. That what's happening in Ukrainian restaurants.
usually beautiful women have no problem finding, maybe not a, but
I
yeah,
would say
you see,
as you mature, these
yeah.
things start to change. Like you start to see and notice that kind of rich men are much more in like rare than beautiful women.
What I mean is, do you really wanna, uh, yeah, that might be true in Ukraine, actually. I don't know.
Yeah, like yeah, it was really
Because
different when I was
women
18 or
invest in their looks
17.
a lot. Yeah.
When I was 16, I really wanted to get attention from like from 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 girls, and they had like so much attention. But now, as you get more mature, I guess as you get a little bit wealthier, right? And you get like bigger financially, you start to notice that, you know, there is a big competition between girls, and they are chasing, rich husbands, right? They want to like find rich guys, and rich guys, they are picky, right? They can have like they go to restaurants, and they have like a wide selection of girls, and you know
But you see, the question is, would you ever go to such event had you not been
I personally know because
having it?
I've been with my girlfriend for like for over 7 years now. But as I see, this is a big part of Ukrainian culture. Like rich guys go to expensive restaurants to see beautiful women, right? And this is like,
Kinda, yes. You see, but they go to a restaurant. They don't go specifically to an event like this.
well,
Like,
yeah, well, but everyone knows what it is, right? Everyone knows that this is the game you play, right? That's what it's for. So I'm not sure how like investor games work. Maybe if you go to play golf, then you will
yeah.
be able to make better deals, I
The thing
guess.
is, when you go to play golf or when you go to a restaurant, you can pretend you're here just for the food or the game.
Yeah, I guess so.
But in case of like a networking event, you just look desperate just by coming there. It's like
Yeah, I guess that's the same for
obvious.
racing, for yachting, right? And all these sorts of
Yeah.
rich or expensive hobbies.
But at
Interesting.
the same time, as a founder, do you have money for these expensive hobbies and time? Maybe if you
Uh-huh.
like yachting and racing, that might come off it. But imagine like going like each Sunday for an yachting event and
Mhm.
trying to find connections there. I mean, you would become bitter like instantly because of how you trying to make friends with this kind of people and you can't.
Uh-huh. Well, my partner, I told you I've been to Mar-a-Lago. Um, it's been like 2 years ago now, and where I saw, Trump himself. And
Mm.
so my partner, basically, he held I think that was like an anniversary with with his girlfriend or wife, and an anniversary event. And so in order, I assume that he was like, he plays golf in that club, right? So Mar-a-Lago, it's a golf club as well. And I think he paid like $350,000 to join this golf club, right? This is a private membership club. So um and then so you pay 350,000 to join, and then there's like an annual fee, which is like $100,000 or $50,000 every year to stay in the club, right? So this is a good filter, right? Like, even if you're even if you are an imposter, if you want to look like you are
Yeah.
rich, I mean, you actually have to be rich, right? You At least you have like half a million to spend on golfing. So I wish I could do that. I mean, the quality of audience. I mean, I remember we went through the lobby. They have like a cafe in the lobby. It's like a lounge bar essentially
Mm-hmm.
in Mar-a-Lago. And so that was like a public place where, members of this club kind of hang out. It's like like a bar essentially. And like, so so much fucking, old money, like guys, like, these 75-year-old guys with like, imagine like blue jacket, white pants, and a golden tie. Like, it's like a combination of like a old money, rich American guy. And so that was interesting. So I guess events can be helpful, but if you have like $10,000, I guess it's not really worth it to spend, $3,000 or $4,000 to just travel. Would you personally, if you, let's say you can travel, you have a visa and you can travel to the US, would you spend $3,000 to just come to this event, AI event?
Probably no. But you can also stay like if you want to save, you can stay at your friend's house, stuff like that
But yeah, I
overnight.
think I think housing is like just 25% of this cost, right? The major cost is tickets
True.
and yeah, so tickets and food.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think specifically this one, no. But I would go to a hackathon,
Okay.
like well, because of the. Actually, we have a viewer.
We do?
Yeah,
I see 0. Okay, yeah, now I see one
we have a
viewer. If you're
comment.
if you're here, leave a message here in the chat. We really
He
want to
he
see
he
that.
posted. That's my friend. I know. Hey, Anatoly Kvazar.
He
I'm not sure
posted.
if he's still looking.
I see all women are suffering from beautiful princess disorder, but not all men are wealthy oil company owners. Okay. Well, that's an interesting take. I guess this is the topic that really resonates, right, with our viewers. I really wanted, like, I wanted to, it's a funny thing, but I wanted to, like, this idea came to my mind. What if we start to talk about politics, Ukrainian politics here? And I mean,
Shit.
this is something that would get a lot of views from all over the place, from the US, from, I guess, from
Oh
Europe, from,
shit. I have
yeah,
so
this
many
is,
opinions on politics lately. Yeah, I
yeah,
think that's
even even if it's a very controversial, we can talk like, 50% about politics and girls and masculinity and Andrew Tate and and all this stuff, and then we can talk the other 50% of our time about something meaningful like AI, blockchain, or whatever. Maybe this is gonna work.
oh shit.
And then sorry, we have to spend like 40% of our time talking about politics and women, 40% of our time about something about tech, and 10% we're gonna spin the casino. Yeah, we have to cut our we have to pay our bills, right? So we have to make a little bit of money here. Okay, that's funny.
Mm.
Um, yeah. So, do you wanna, like, I have like 10 minutes of time. Do you wanna talk real quick about like the Nvidia thing, like the
Yeah.
yeah. So
Tell me about it.
yeah, so
Yeah.
basically Nvidia, which is the biggest uh, AI GPU uh, manufacturer, they have like 80% of the market of AI chips. They have unveiled a new uh, processor called GH200 super chip designed for massive AI models, packed with 141 gigabytes of next-gen memory. It can handle huge AI models for nonstop prediction and content creation. For for instance, I think the biggest current most uh, powerful chip, which is H100, I think it has like 3 times less memory. I think it's like 40 gigabytes. So NVIDIA says that the cost of powering large language models will drop significantly. So my first reaction was like, what is going to happen to all these startups who have just recently spent billions of dollars on NVIDIA H100, which is the current chip? Are they all back holders now? Like, just for example, there was a company, cloud cloud provider. They got a $2.3 billion debt using NVIDIA H100 as collateral. Did you
Oh,
get it? So they first they bought like $2
okay.
billion dollars of NVIDIA chips. They raised money from investors. They bought these chips, right,
Hmm.
worth $2 billion. They needed to get more funding. They went to like a lender,
Okay.
and they got two more billion dollars, and they gave their their uh, chips, GPUs that they had as collateral to get a loan. So now imagine if these GPUs become much less expensive overnight, what's going to happen to this company? Because they have a debt and they have to pay for this debt, right? It's like 2.3 billion, and there is like a handful of startups like that who raised billions of dollars, bought a ton of these GPUs, and now and the new GPU is probably going to cost as much, but it's going to be like 3 or 4 times more powerful than or inefficient than um H100.
I think they are not gonna. The price is not gonna drop like this fast, because you still can use the old GPUs.
Yeah, but the way
What
it
I mean?
works, they were cloud provider, right? So it's
Yeah.
a very like straightforward unit economy, right? So they have people who rent these GPUs, right? They have like the standard market price, and they have the debt, right? They have to pay, like they have monthly payments that they have to pay, and they have like the revenues and they have the obligations, right? So if these if the collateral becomes less expensive, they might need to add more money to provide more money to the bank to keep like in order to.
Do you think they have a like tight margin business, meaning that whether they are, how do I say, whether they don't have any wiggle room for that, right? So
I
like,
think it might kill their business. I think they have like 20-30% margins, maybe 50% margins, but releasing a new GPU, which is like several times uh more powerful and efficient, I think imagine like their profits drop like 70%.
it's funny that it also says that they are backed by Nvidia. Maybe
Um,
Nvidia is interested in
yeah,
not letting
yeah,
them
well,
die.
maybe they want. I think in this case, what's gonna happen is that, yeah, I mean, this is interesting. This is interesting. They might get their chips back and like kill this company. So, I mean, I'm not sure how this works exactly, but this is like it feels like so many companies that spend billions of dollars might become like backholders, right? They have like imagine raising like $1 billion and then your $1 billion becomes like $300 million on paper. On paper, like if you're gonna go to a bank, you can go do IPO with chips that on paper are worth 300 million, right? So you have a loss.
Yeah.
Like in the books, in your accounting, you're gonna have a loss. So and you have just like you have to justify this loss. So this is just something very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, all
Mm.
right. So do you have
Okay.
any other things you wanted to add?
No, that's all.
Yeah, I think it's been funny. We had like one real viewer so far. Did you post
Yeah, I
uh
sent him the link.
him personally, or did you post it
Him
somewhere on?
personally, yes. I sent him
Okay. Okay,
personally.
good. Interesting. So yeah, that's funny. We should consider doing like semi political, semi technological podcast, you know? I mean, he didn't speak on the tech topic, right? He didn't comment on the tech
I
comment.
think he just went in when we was talking about women. That's why he
Okay.
commented.
So he churned, right? He didn't listen to
Yeah,
the
he
rest of
he
the
did
thing.
churn. He's
Eh,
not
yeah.
he's not on
Okay.
looking right now.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, sadly. All right. That was great. You know, I look forward to talking to you next week. All right.
Yeah, sure. Bye.
All right. Speak soon. Thanks everyone. Bye.
Do, 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 do.